Thank you, President Al. You know, it's interesting when you're at the dais here, Bert does a really great job of timing out all of our speakers, and we were exactly on time until we got to open mic. Bert, make a note of that. More time or less mic. After several years, whoops, Steve's got me on the wrong page already. Our speaker today is York County native Randy Edsall, who is entering his 36th year in coaching and his 5th year as the head coach of University of Maryland's football team. One of the great joys I have in serving on the program committee is finding and sharing the hidden gems that spring forth from our community. And while Randy does not qualify and fit the hidden part, he is nevertheless a York County born and raised gem. In order to understand the coach, the man who will speak to us today, we need to take a quick journey back to the small town of Glen Rock and Susquehanna High School. Randy was an outstanding athlete as a youth, growing up in the small rural town of a hard-working, close-knit community. And he was always athletic, he was smart, he was competitive, and probably didn't hurt to have an older brother and many competitive friends, all willing to bump and grind and force the younger brother to play up to their level of their games. Before long, Randy caught up to most of them and surpassed many. In fact, in 2009, the York Daily Record not only named Randy as the best athlete to ever go through Susquehanna, but was also the #3 athlete in the entire county of York and Adams as far as his accomplishments. Randy was an outstanding baseball player. He was an outstanding basketball player, and then he also went on to Syracuse University on a full-ride scholarship to be a quarterback. Randy was all-state in all 3 of his sports his senior year. Truly remarkable. On top of this, Randy was an honor society student. He was an outstanding individual, and he was certainly a leader. And while Randy did not see a tremendous amount of playing time at Syracuse, he earned a quality education, continued to grow as an individual, and his understanding of the game of football. 2 critical things happened to Randy in his life at Syracuse. He met his wife, Eileen, who joins us, thank you, and who was a star in her own right at Syracuse. And Randy was also asked to stay on in Syracuse as an assistant coach. After several years of increasing responsibilities with the Syracuse coaching staff, Randy had a few years assisting at Boston College, then on to the NFL, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and Georgia Tech. In 1999, Randy landed his first opportunity to be the head coach at the University of Connecticut. 11 years of increasing success brought Randy back closer to his roots and landing his dream job at the University of Maryland as the head coach. Randy has systematically rebuilt the Maryland program in his own image, leading a program that has earned back-to-back bowl berths and continues to make great strides both on and off the field. Since taking over the Maryland football program, Randy and his staff have placed an emphasis on recruiting the local Maryland, Washington, D.C. markets, which is heavily recruited by schools across the nation and be considered a football hotbed. The result of this focus was the signing of 81 athletes, 42 from the area since 2012. This also includes our own Spring Grove graduate David Shaw and Red Line native Andrew Zeller. On the field, Coach Edsall led Maryland's new era in 2014 with its first season in the Big Ten. Maryland finished the regular season with an impressive 5-1 record away from College Park, leading the Big Ten in road wins. The 5 road victories were the most for a Terrapin team since 1984. Maryland posted its first ever road victory, wait for it, against Penn State. There might be a couple of boos there. And its first ever win against Michigan. To punctuate its first season in the conference, which concluded with an appearance in the Foster Farm Bowl. Maryland finished the season 7-6, securing its first back-to-back winning season since 2002-2003. Coach Edsall will be talking about leadership and gathering and gaining results through teamwork. Fellow returns and guests, please warmly welcome York County's own Randy Edsall.
Thanks, Mike. Really appreciate that. You sit back and you listen and say, wow, you know, did all those things. And since leaving here back in 1976, but you know, the thing is that I'm going to be careful what I say, because I see this thing sitting right here filming. In this day and age of social media, I take enough crap. I don't need to take any more than it's already there for me. You know, it's interesting that, you know, Curly Bird is the football coach and then the president of the University of Maryland. I can tell you this, there's no way that I'm going to be the president of the University of Maryland. That's just not going to happen, you know. And, you know, the thing is, that's really neat is to be able to do, you know, what I've been able to do, because, you know, when I left here in 1976, you know, I would have never dreamed that I'd have been able to accomplish, you know, all the things that I was able to accomplish. But it was through people who've helped me and really just trying to do things the right way. And then having the opportunities that I have to work with young people. And you know, I'll get into some more things here, but one of the things that's really special, you know, for me, is to be able to take young men and bring them to an institution, whether I was an assistant coach or I was a head coach, and have them come and spend, you know, 4 to 5 years there at that institution, and to help young people achieve the goals that they want to achieve. And there's a young man that's sitting in here today that I had the opportunity to do that with. And to be able to take young men, you know, this young man came to us from New York Suburban High School when I was a head coach in Connecticut. He came as a walk-on. Came as a walk-on punter and just worked extremely hard, did all the things that you asked him to do, had a dream, had a vision, had a passion, and ended up being a scholarship, earning a scholarship, and being our starting punter. And now, to this day, we've been able to stay in touch. And coming here today and seeing him in the lobby and his mother, you know, is very heartwarming. Because you know that I've helped him get to where he wants to go. And to maintain those relationships, truly, that's what, to me, is what life is all about. And that's something that's very, very important to me. So I just want to recognize Cole Wagner right over here and just say, Cole, thank you for everything. And it's great to see you and glad you're doing well. And you know this, anything I can ever do for you, don't ever hesitate to, you know, give me a call. So Cole Wagner, I was looking at the Rotary and what it represents and what it means, and you know, there's something wrong here, because what you do is right. And so I was looking at this, and you know, it's the 4-way test that you guys have with Rotary, and the things that you think, you say, and you do. Is it the truth? Okay. Well, I get in trouble for telling the truth. Because I try to tell the truth all the time and be honest with our players, be honest with the media, but I get criticized for that. You guys get to do that. Is it fair to all concerned? Well, you know, I ask my guys to go to class, do the right things, all that. But we get criticized for that sometimes. Okay? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Okay? That's the teamwork part of it, in my opinion. And will it be beneficial to all concerned? Well, I don't make decisions with what I do unless it's going to make us a better team, a better program, and better people. So, I don't know. I think when I talk to the media and they ask me things, I'm just going to say I'm a Rotarian, and what they believe in is what I believe in, and I ask the same thing. So, you guys made me better. You've given me something to take with me and to use. So, I appreciate that, you know, very much. And I do. I really appreciate, you know, what Rotarians do. I was heavily involved with the Rotary Club in Glastonbury, Connecticut, where I lived before I came back to this area. and really special in terms of what you do and what you get accomplished within the community. You know, the thing that's really interesting for me is that the things that I'm able to do in the position that I'm in is really unique. And you know, it's hard to believe that this is going into my 36th year of coaching. You know, and one of the things is, you had my brother here, I don't know, Mike was telling me 7, 8 years ago. He's the character of the family. He's got more stories than anybody. So I don't have as many stories as he does, because officials, all you got to do is go blow a whistle, and at the end of the day you can make all the bad calls and everything else, and nobody really cares. They don't care who wins or loses or anything like that. They just go and they get their sandwich afterwards, they pick up their check, and you know, whoever wins and loses, it doesn't matter. You know, where in coaching it's a whole lot different from that standpoint. But you know, I've been very blessed. You know, I've been very blessed to be able to do the things that I've been able to do. And like I said, 36 years. This will be my 17th year of coaching, of being a head coach. 19 years as an assistant coach. And the thing is, I came up, you know, through the process. You know, it wasn't handed to me or anything along those lines. I started after I left Syracuse. Head coach there, Frank Maloney, gave me an opportunity. I was a graduate assistant, and then I was a part-time assistant, and then I was full-time. And then I was able to, you know, work there for 11 years after graduating. And then I get to go to Boston College, a great institution there, and work for a guy who coached me in college, Tom Coughlin, who's the head coach of the New York Giants, and probably the best mentor that I've ever had. And then also having the opportunity to go coach in the NFL with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And then making a decision, you know, about what I wanted to do with my life. And this is where leadership, you know, comes into play. You know, I'm sitting there at Jacksonville at the top of my profession, you know, the highest level you can go, and I wanted to be a head coach. I wanted to put myself in a position of being a leader and helping young people achieve and accomplish the goals that they want to accomplish. And I made the decision because I had interviewed for a job at a particular institution, and they told me that, you know, that I've never been a coordinator before. So what I did, you know, and again, I think this is a thing that separates people, as the ones that want to be proactive rather than reactive. I ended up going to Georgia Tech and became the defensive coordinator there for 1 year. And we had real good success, you know, that year, and then was able to get the job at Connecticut, and was there for 12 years, and now, you know, down at Maryland, going into my 5th year. But the thing is that I've always felt that if you're going to get somewhere in life, and if you're going to lead people, you have to be proactive, and you have to, rather than be reactive. Because leadership is the ability to translate vision into reality. You know, that's my whole thing, is I want to take a vision and make it reality. And the one thing that's really neat is to be able to have young people that you mentor, you coach, you parent, you teach, and help them go and accomplish goals and dreams and aspirations they have to go on and be successful. And really, you know what? Leadership is all about courage. It's all about courage. And in our society right now, the thing that I see, and people always say to me, is this: have kids changed? I think they have. Because it's a different society now than what a lot of us have gone through. Because of social media, because of the technology, because of those things. Kids aren't put in situations in order to lead. Too many things are parent-driven these days, where kids don't go out in the backyard and pick teams and officiate the games themselves and learn how to handle those discussions and those interactions. And that's the problem that I see in the profession that I'm in. And one of the things that we do is we go out and look for young men. I'm looking for those guys who have been leaders. Because to me, that is a lost art in our society, you know, today. And all it is, it's about raising people's vision to higher heights, raising the performance to a higher level. Too many young people today want to be well-liked. They want to be friends. They don't want to take a stand and stand up for what they believe in. But this is something that I try to do every day with our players, is to draw this out and have those young people put themselves into leadership positions and let these people know that everything that they do can make a difference in the betterment of the organization, the betterment of the team, the betterment of everything that they want to be able to do. And you know, the thing about it is this: leadership is standing tall in times of tragedy and pulling everyone together. And I'll tell you, the most difficult experience that I've ever had to go through in my life is when I had a young man that got stabbed and died when I was the head coach at the University of Connecticut. And let me tell you, when you were responsible for at least 105 young men, and you're responsible for a program, and then when you have to get on the telephone with a young man's mother and tell her, and she's in Miami, Florida, that her son died, okay, was just killed by a senseless tragedy, act of violence. It's the hardest thing you ever got to go through. And then to be able to, the first time ever, when you go to the hospital and you're there, and they tell you, you come in, and somebody tells you you're going to take the longest walk of your life because you got to go identify the body of this young man who's really one of your sons, and then to keep a team and a community and a university together. I don't wish that on anybody. But because of lessons that I've learned growing up, I was able to do that because there was no manual in terms of how to do that. But leadership, you got to stand tall in times of tragedy. You got to set the example, okay? And that's something that I think that all of us need to continue to work with young people, people in our organizations, to continue to develop, leadership. And leadership's not about yourself. Leadership is not about yourself, but it's about the people around you. Okay? And for me, as being a leader, it's more of what I can do for my assistant coaches, what I can do for my players to help them accomplish the things that they want to accomplish. And again, I was on the phone the other night with a young man, and he's a quarterback, trying to recruit. And that position is a leadership position. And I told him, I says, the thing is, I says, you and I, we have to be connected at the hip. We have to be connected at the hip. And the reason is, because if you're the quarterback or you're the head coach, if you're the president or the chief financial officer, same situation. Because what's going to happen? You're going to get too much credit when you win, and you're going to take too much blame when you lose. And so that's where, to me, you got to stay steady, and you got to stay cool and calm when situations come up. The one thing is that, every day there's things that come up, and I don't know where I'm going to be in 4 years, 5 years. I don't know that. But the one thing that I do know is this, is from the standpoint that I wouldn't be a head coach for 17 years if I didn't have a set of values, if I didn't have integrity, if I didn't have a belief in doing things the right way. And the same thing with a lot of people in this, you wouldn't be in the positions that you're in if you didn't have those same kind of values. And the thing that I've noticed through my years, 56 years, is that leaders are molded from the highest character and are generally the hardest workers in the organization. And I see that whether I talk to people in business, whether I see the young people on my team, leaders also have great integrity. And in this day and age, I think we're losing that a little bit, because everybody wants to do what's right for that moment and lose some of that sense of purpose and sense of value. Okay? And that's the stuff that, leaders will not compromise their values. And I've been in situations as a head coach, and, one of the things is that someday, I've been fortunate. I've been fortunate in my profession. You know, they always say coaches are hired to be fired. All right? I haven't been fired yet. All right? And I hope that doesn't happen. But the one thing that I do know, when the time comes, when I walk away from coaching, I'll walk out the door with my head high. Because what coaching is, and what dealing with people is, especially the young people that I deal with from 17 to 21 years old, is number one, you've got to be that mentor, you've got to be the coach, you've got to be the parent, you've got to be the teacher. And I think with some of the things you see that are going on today with the game of football, it's a game. But the game of life is bigger. And that's where leaders will not compromise their values, because the game of life is much bigger than the game of football. And you see these kids are not going to play this game all their life. Leaders will leave no stone unturned. And, you know, the thing is it's always hard to do things the right way. Because in our day and age right now, everybody wants instant gratification, everybody wants instant success. But if you're going to build something and you're going to have it where it stands the test of time, you have to follow, you know, those principles. You got to have that integrity. You've got to do things that other people won't want to do. You know, and it's interesting because I have been around a lot of really good mentors. And Tom Coughlin, and most people here are probably Eagle fans like you're Penn State fans, but I did make it already because nobody threw anything out from a Penn State standpoint. But you know what? People say to me, they said, Tom Coughlin, he had to be the hardest guy to work for. You know, because everybody sees him on TV and, you know, they get this image of him. But I'll tell you, he was the easiest guy that I've ever worked for in my life. And the reason being is this: he would never ask me to do something that he wouldn't do himself. And he was, you know, the hardest worker of anybody there. You know, people thought we stayed in the office till midnight. No, we were out of there at 9:30. You know, get your work done and walk out the front door. Don't walk out the back door, walk out the front door. And you know what? The amazing thing is, that man stood for everything that's right about people, that's right about the game. And who took more crap in the media than he did? And what happened was this: until he won that first Super Bowl, nobody ever gave him the credit that he deserved, and he did things the right way and helped plenty of people. But it took him to win a Super Bowl to get people off his back. And that's crazy. Now he won 2 and he bought himself some time, and they still want to get rid of him, but because he won 2, you know, they can't. But, you know, those are the things that I think go a long way. And leaders know where they want to go. You know who the leaders are that you're around. You know who they are. You know where they want to go, and you know where they want to get to. You know, people have a plan. And the other thing, leaders are unselfish. But the thing is this: in what I do, and pretty much I think what everybody does in this room, the thing that really gets us to where we want to go is teamwork. And when you're dealing with 105 young men who have a lot of testosterone, who have been told all their life how good they are, and they've been enabled, it's really tough in trying to bring that group together, to put their selfishness aside for the benefit of the whole group. Let me tell you why I've been able to be a head coach for going into 17 years right now. Because to me, it's all about teamwork. And what you've got to be able to do as a leader, and it doesn't matter if you're the head of a football program, you're the head of a business, you're the head of whatever, your family, okay? The first and foremost thing that I believe in is you got to develop trust. You have got to get people to trust in you, and then also to believe in the mission that you're putting forth, and get them to buy into that and get them to buy into what their role will be in order to be successful. And that's hard. That's hard. Because too many people want to be self-centered and want to be selfish, and it's what's in it for me, but not what's in it for the total group. So you got to develop that trust and get them to believe, get them to buy into. The second thing is you got to have tremendous enthusiasm. Tremendous enthusiasm. Because if you're going to accomplish anything in life, and you don't have, if you're not enthusiastic about it, it's never going to happen. And I'll tell you, the thing that I always look for, when I want people to be part of my team, I want those people that have a passion. People that have a passion to be the best they can be, and have a passion to contribute to make the team the best it can be. And then the other thing, when you talk about enthusiasm, one of the big things that I always look for, I like to look at people's body language. Because people's body language will tell me whether or not I can count on those people, or if they're all in terms of what's the best, for our team. But if I don't have people that have enthusiasm, who are passionate, who don't go around with great body language, we could have the best talent you ever want to have, but if you don't have the trust, the belief, the buy-into, the enthusiasm, the passion, the body language, you're not going to be a championship organization. You're not going to be a championship team. The third thing, and I think this is one of the toughest things to get accomplished, is accountability. As a leader, you got to hold yourself first and foremost accountable, but then are the people that's part of your organization, part of your team, are they willing to hold themselves accountable and hold themselves to the highest set of standards that are established? And then, are those people dependable? Can you trust them? And then I think the toughest thing is, and the thing with our team, we've made tremendous strides at the University of Maryland in just 4 years in terms of this. The thing that's different for us this year already than the 4 previous years is now our guys are doing a better job of holding each other accountable. They are going up and saying, you're not doing it the way that we do it here. They are taking more ownership of the team and of what goes on. And I have a leadership council that I meet with, one guy from each position. We got 10 guys. And I'll tell you, it's just beautiful to be around, because now these guys are taking hold of this team. And now for me and my coaches, we can do things to better our team, because we don't have to do some of these things that we've had to do before. So accountability, getting people who are dependable, and people who want to take that leadership role. And I'll tell you, the guy that's doing it for us this year, and you wouldn't believe this, is our kicker. Our Lou Grozo award-winning kicker. And this guy's from Australia. And after the season, he came and he called me, hit me up an email from Australia, said, Coach, I want to meet when we get back. And he came back and he said, Coach, we've accomplished, a lot of things so far. But you know what? This is my last year. I want to take this to another level. I want to get this team to another level, and not on the field, but all these other things. So I told him, I said, tell me who your 10 guys would be in terms of the leadership council. He went back, we agreed on 8 out of the 10. And now we got his group, and I meet with him and I give him direction. But I'll tell you, it's a thing of beauty when you see people within your team and your organization start to take over and hold people accountable and make sure people are doing the right thing. That is very, very powerful. And then the last thing is mental toughness. Because if you're not mentally tough, because there's going to be things that come up, and there's going to be things that happen, but you have to have people who are mentally tough, and they got to have that right attitude. We're going to find a way to get it done regardless of what happens, and then they got to be coachable. Got to be coachable. Because the one thing that we do in our program, and we're straight up with them when we recruit them, is we tell them, we're going to tell you some things sometimes that you're not going to like what we say, but it's going to be the truth. It's going to be the truth. We're not going to tell you what you want to hear. We're going to tell you the things that you need to do to be better. And then if you have that, if you have the trust, you have the enthusiasm, you have the accountability, you have the mental toughness, you'll win. You'll win. Because I'm a big proponent of, it's not so much talent helps, but it's the chemistry, it's the work ethic, it's the commitment to each other that helps you get over the top. And the one thing is sometimes things might take a little bit longer than what you would hope, but if you have a formula for success, it'll eventually win out in the long run. We've gone from, when I first went to Maryland, we've gone from 922 in the APR to we'll be at a 977, our 4-year average. In just 4 years, we've been able to do that. Because one of the things is that, for the most part, what's going to carry these kids through the rest of their life is their education. Because 1% only get the opportunity to go on to the next level. And you all saw the Borland kid from Wisconsin and the 49ers after 1 year. And, there's real issues. And a lot of guys don't get to the second contract. But again, this is something that I believe in terms of developing leadership and getting young people to step out and be people that can be leaders, but also is to get them to understand teamwork, because I know this, all of you in this room, if you can find people that understand teamwork and who've demonstrated teamwork and are hard workers and are in it because they can make a difference within the organization of the team, you want to hire them in a heartbeat. And so those are the things that I learned growing up here, that people gave me an opportunity, and all I'm trying to do is give that opportunity back to the people that I touch, each and every day. And what I get to do is very rewarding. And you know what? I mean, there's been some great victories that we've had. There was one up at Happy Valley this year. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie. And you know what? When you're a school that's only beating them, you're 135-1 against them. And you can go up there and beat them at their own place. That's very rewarding for our kids. Because that dynamic, as I told them going into the game, that will change your life forever. And there's been some great coaches in there. Jerry Claiborne, Bobby Ross, they never did it. But again, it's not about me. It's about what that did for those kids. Going to the Big House in Michigan, going to Virginia Tech a year ago and beating them. When I was at Syracuse as an assistant, we beat Nebraska in the Dome, when they were #1 in the country. And I coached in the pros. We go to Denver and beat John Elway when we were 17-point underdogs. Those things are great. Those things are great. But the thing that's more for me, it's those relationships with young men like Cole Wagner. That you can take a young man and bring him into your program and have him with you for 4 or 5 years, and you help him grow and develop and mature, and know that you played a small part in that. And now you see him today, told me he bought his first house already. That's the stuff that's really good. And we can never lose sight of those things. So I appreciate getting back here. It's a lot quicker drive to go to Maryland than it is to Penn State. We got plenty of tickets available. If anybody wants to sign up. And but the one thing I'll never forget what this area has done for me and allowed me to go and accomplish the things that I've been able to accomplish, and then also to be able to share them with other people and give those people those same opportunities, like a David Shaw and a Andrew Zellett and Will Beatty that I had at Connecticut. Never thought Will Beatty would ever get to where he is, second-round draft pick and everything else. And I was as hard on Will as anything else. But you know what? God bless Will's parents. God bless them. Because you know what they told me? And this is why, you know, you go through the recruiting process and you try to find parents like this, not the ones who enable their kids and think it's all the coach's fault and everything else. I went into Will's home, and his dad, Keith, told me, he said, Randy, he said, whatever you have to do to get him to be an outstanding young man, you have my permission to do whatever you need to do. And you know what? When you have a family that tells you that they know that he needs to have his foot up his butt at times, okay, and Cole would attest to that. But when you have that and they understand that, and then when you watch those kids go and walk across the stage, and now he's married, and he's playing in the league and everything else, and you see success, and you text these guys, and they get back to you, and all those sort of things. You know what? To me, that's what life's all about. You know, like I said, I've been blessed, I'm a has-been, but now what I can do is I can give back to people. So, appreciate you guys having me here, and if anybody does have a question, I'll take a couple, but I don't know if I'll answer them correctly, but I'll